amazing, Communicant.
Thank you. Oh, and thanks
And
for saying it right. No one says it right.
really, how do they say it?
Every time I play a show, they say Communicant or another pronunciation that I can't say. But like it's funny. And if you ever seen the movie That Thing You Do?
Yes. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite movies.
Yes, it's my favorite movie of all time. It's like it's like the Oneaters thing. Like I feel like with the name. Yeah, already made that you said the name right.
Thank you. I tried. So tell me about that. So you guys just released a new EP, correct?
We did, yes.
Memory Palace, and it's amazing.
Thank you.
It's very like 60s psychedelic. I know when I first heard you guys, I was like, whoa, this guy sounds like John Lennon. Like, do you get that a lot? Like, it sounded to
no,
me.
I never got that before. It's not. I mean, sometimes people tell me that I look like George Harrison,
You
but
do.
that's because I grew the quarantine mustache and it kind of stuck. I like it. I wasn't planning on the mustache, but then I grew it and I was like, okay, I could rock this.
It's cool.
Yeah, so it's been a good time to just grow out like my hair and stuff. So I saw this meme. It's like everyone's just gonna look like the 1969 Beatles like by the time this is all over. And I looked at myself in the mirror. Damn it.
You're like, yep. No, but it's a good look. It's cool, but like, exactly, we're just letting the hair grow out, just do its thing. But no, it's cool, and you know, like your whole sounds very like 60s-esque. So I wanted to know like who were some of your like inspirations for the album?
So I've been a record collector since I was like 13 years old, and the first big obsession was collecting the Beatles, obviously. But then I got really obsessed with the Doors and Jefferson Airplane and Pink Floyd and like especially Syd Barrett. And then when I was like 17, 18, I really wanted to start like kind of going deep into the record collecting world and kind of just trying to discover the lost culty records, stuff like Gandalf, July, Tomorrow, Arzekiel, like Morgan, like records that are like they're worth like $400 on vinyl and like 6 people have heard of them, but they're better than like so many of the most popular albums I've ever heard. And I just became so obsessed. I became a crate digger at such a young age, and that music really inspired me. So when I was just, producing myself more and more and I was writing these songs, I just noticed like this change. And basically my dream ever since I was little was to make psychedelic music. And I can't even tell you why for a specific reason. It's just, to me, the world and possibilities in psychedelic music are endless. Like when I first heard CM Lee play when I was 14, it was like someone had just like taken like the slip mask off my eyes essentially. And I just was able to see everything very clearly, or like Strawberry Fields, and just the colorfulness in the production is just such a world. There's no rules. You can just do anything. And I really loved that. And I always loved the songwriting too that's underneath some of my favorite psych music from the 60s, like stuff from like Revolver or Magical Mystery Tour or like Piper at the Gates of Dawn. I love that there is a song at the core of it, and that song is what reaches you first, but the production is where you really kind of like, you just close your eyes and you kind of live in the world. And I really loved the feel of that. And so I was making my album, making the new Communicant album that's going to come out, that I actually like literally just finished the master today.
Nice.
And I thought, before all this quarantine stuff happened, which you could never guess, I thought something to hold people over, I'd put out an EP. And what I did is I put 2 songs that didn't make the album, and then I wrote one song is going to be on the album, Sleepwalker. So I cut it in half. And then I wrote 2 more songs, and then I covered John Lennon's Parachute. So I was on like a real creative binge. Like I just wrote this little batch of songs, and then I really wanted to do this cover. And then it all came together very fast. Like the EP was made in like probably 2 weeks, in my room. Me just playing everything and mixing half of it. And it was really fun to make. It was just such a creative high, kind of just doing it all at once. And then while I was making it, I was like watching this documentary on the brain, and it was talking about ways that a brain can remember where things are, and use like we basically use a system called Memory Palace, where if you want to remember certain things, you can think of like a house and mentally where you put those things in your house, like in your mind. I was like, that it just felt very akin to the music. So they married very well.
Nice. So that's where like the name came from for the EP.
Yeah, that's where Memory Palace came from. I heard that and it was just like, oh my God, has anyone used that? I'm like, nope. All right, come on.
No, I love it. So you were always kind of gravitating towards like that psychedelic sound, like the 60s sound. Since you were 13, like you knew that when you were 13?
I did. I didn't know the concept of what psychedelia meant or what, 60s psychedelia meant. I just knew I loved it. And I always tried to fight this like I'm an old soul thing like growing up, because I always loved living in the present, and I loved tons of the bands that were out at the moment. But there was something that was just so special and so golden about 60s and 70s psych, particularly for me. And it wasn't force-fed to me in any way. I just found it on my own. It was the kind of thing where I just like I had this love for it, and then it really exploded when I met my manager when I was like 16 years old. I was telling him about my love for this, and he goes, "Oh, well, have you heard like the Millennium, or the Easter Everywhere by the 13th Floor Elevators, or you heard like Love's Forever Changes?" And I was like, "No." And then he just put those in my hand, and then it was like, "Oh my God, there's more like this." So that it just sparked the bug, and it like never stopped. And I started my like musical journey making pop music and making like top 40 pop music, like when I was on Warner Brothers for like a year or so, and that was when I was first writing songs. So I was like working my way through these songs and working with producers, but what I was listening to wasn't translating to my music, even though I like that stuff. But it was always I never had the Rolodex like in my mind. I never had the ability to create what I was listening to, and it just started to happen the more and more I learned about producing myself and mixing and production and stuff. But the big turning point for me was I did a 45. I covered the Flamin' Groovies' "Shake Some Action" when I was on Warner Brothers, and I was at Amoeba, which is now closed, in Los Angeles, and there was a psychedelic 45 box, like a pull-out box that's for Psych 45, and I found my 45 in there. And I don't know whether someone put it in there by accident, because it's definitely not Psych, but it made my day. Like I still get the happiness from seeing me in the Psych section. Like I don't even care if anyone bought it or not. It's just being like classified in that section. So it's just all those kind of things. It was such a love for me and such a deep passion, and I love the production end of it. I love playing instruments and creating the sound effects. I traded a guitar for this Echoplex, this like tape Echoplex from like 73, and I just was running everything to it and just playing with the knobs, and you got this real tape saturation echo. It kind of had that paperback writer sound, the way that it just decays.
Love that.
And I love the way it breaks up. It just was so great. And it was really a challenge trying to deal with like the modern Pro Tools recording system of making everything sound so crystal clear and like not textured. A lot of the work was putting into what I call shitifying the instrument, kind of making them the right texture and finding the right place for my voice to not sound so like Pro Tools 2020 HD. So that was quite the journey, which is a journey I'm still on, really, kind of figuring all that out.
Yeah, I feel like as a musician though, like that's just a constant like journey. You're gonna always completely like I guess keep finding yourself, maybe reinventing yourself. Because I was listening to some of your older stuff too, like your solo stuff, and then it's very different. And I'm like, it's interesting to see how like you've grown over the years into like the artist you are now and are becoming. So
yeah,
cool.
I it's really funny. It's like raising a child, looking back at myself, like in my musical past. Because I've always considered albums like a portrait of where the artist is at that point in time. And so when you look at those portraits, it's pretty pretty nuts how much change there is. And definitely, like, I call this middle period in between my pop stuff and my psych stuff like my rebellious phase. Like, I dyed my hair and I pierced my ear and like I got a tattoo. It was just like all sorts of rebellion. I was just really trying to find myself because I just experienced full on ego death and was just dealing with that for like such a long time. Then I just arrived at this place like, you need to do what you want to do, because I would just subconsciously, when I was younger and I was making this pop music, I'd always say like, I wish I could just have this song just have real drums on it. I wish this song could just be like, you know, in 3/4 and it could have like a key change. And I was always saying like, why? Nothing was ever stopping me. So it just, I guess it just took 20 something years to be comfortable enough, to be confident enough to really be myself and make that kind of music. And that's the great reward, is the people that know me that I play this for, they go like, this is you. Like, this is the first, like, my friends have always been supported by past music, but they've never reacted to the music that I made the way where they just go like, this really feels like you. Like there's no wall anymore. It's just kind of like your spirit. I finally made a record talking about my debut album. Like, I made a record that sounds like my record collection. Like, I finally like caught up, or as my managers say, like my music finally caught up with my mouth.
No, and I feel like that's like the ultimate compliment, having your friends saying like, this is you, and like we can tell like this is like you being authentic and like really just who you are as an artist. And I'm sure it felt like really liberating too, being like, okay, like I found myself, and like this is
yeah, it was so validating. It was so validating. Not that I was looking for validation. There was definitely like a little bit of me that was that a lot of me that was just scared. I've realized that scared feeling is the best feeling you can have as an artist. Anytime you're scared or nervous about something, it's usually the right way to go. It's usually the path to go. And I think I've read that a lot of artists like Bowie and Prince, especially when they, you know, get bored of you know, being like Ziggy Stardust or Purple Rain, like they want to go to the next thing that makes them nervous and scared. And that's so hard to do. It's easier said than done, but it's so rewarding when it pays off when you do it. So they really have some wise words when it comes to that.
Definitely. There's like that saying too, it's like, it's good to feel uncomfortable sometimes, or like you have to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable, you know, like, yeah, that's how you grow.
It's so easier said than done, because like you don't want to, but man, it's always the songs that I'm most uncomfortable about every time.
It's true. I know.
Yeah, it's funny.
I know. So that's awesome though. I love that. And I really do I love the whole EP. I was listening to it. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I was like, so you're a guitar player, you're a drummer, singer. So you're
play piano, bass. I'm playing everything on the EP. I think, yeah, every instrument on the EP is played by me. The band is more on the album. Like, my brother is my drummer, and our guitar player Jeff is on a few of the songs. But since it was made in like a 2-week span, and I had to get out so fast, and people were busy and stuff, I normally play everything on my recordings, because I write the song and then I want to chase the rabbit immediately, so I take it straight to the computer, and I start recording from the ground up. Usually start with drums, or I start with one melodic instrument like a guitar or piano, and then I end up just building the whole song in a day, and then I just go like, oh, this sounds kind of done. So
So when did you start playing? How old were you?
I started on drums, and it was really just from day one. I don't remember a time where I wasn't playing music. And in fact, I was going through like an old box of childhood photos of me. And the first photos of me, I'm on the floor, and there's like little pots and pans all around the tile, like on the kitchen. And it's just, I've just been playing. I know that my first ever like sort of performance publicly was my talent show when I was 7. And I did a drum solo. And I did the drum solo for the Beatles The End, and I saw the video like a year ago, and it was actually really good. And I can say that because I was somehow a better drummer when I was 7 than I am now, because I just, I used to practice every day, and I don't keep up anymore. Because my brother is a drummer, and he's an amazing drummer. So it's like I'm like, oh, that field's taken care of. So I'm mostly on guitar or piano. Though my favorite instrument these days is bass. To me, that's for all endless.
I'm sorry, you like froze for a second. I didn't hear that last part.
Oh,
What'd you say?
Oh, okay. I said my favorite instrument lately is bass because it's just where all the endless possibilities lie for me.
No, I own a bass and I'm currently trying to play, and it is fun. Like I've been learning on like YouTube, and a couple of my friends play. They've been like showing me some stuff. But it's great. I love it. And I also have a guitar, and I've been like dabbling with that, but like I always go back to the bass. It's just so much fun.
Yeah, and there's always have this like one breakthrough moment or something like where you go like, oh my god, like that artist plays this note when he should be playing this note, but he doesn't, and it's just it adds so much excitement to the instrument. So yeah, it's really fun. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah, and you keep talking about the Beatles, and I'm a huge Beatle fan, obviously, as you know. So I'm curious, do you have like a favorite Beatle album, a favorite like?
Revolver.
Me too. Oh my god.
Yeah, Revolver. It's just to me, it's just my DNA. Like that record is just I resonate with so hard. It's just nothing has ever resonated with me so hard before. I love the sound palette. I love the guitar tone is just you heard it on any other record. And I remember trying to look up like what are they playing? Like it's like these SG guitars. They sound like a barking dog like on that record. And I just was like, how? And I looked it up and they're 2 seconds in 1966, and it's just like, okay, well, it's impossible. But it's crystal clear sound palette. I love everything about it. It is for psychedelia. Like Tomorrow Never Knows, like that song existing in 1966, before the explosion of 67, and then before like 68 when everyone started. They're so ahead of their time. And then I heard this like demo the other day that I've never heard before of Norwegian Wood, where it's like full out, just like acid blown raga sounding, like I had to dial back. It just blows my mind.
It really is. It's for sure one of my favorite albums. But I think one of my favorite songs is probably, well, like ever in the entire Beatles discography is Here, There, and Everywhere. That song gets me, man.
That one just gets you, right here.
Beautiful. So yeah, no.
Beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have any plans after all of this craziness is over? What are the plans for the band? Are you trying to tour soon? Like, what's to come in 2020?
We were gonna play South by Southwest, obviously, and then I've worked on finishing this record, which I just I approved the master. I think what the next plan is just still like Memory Palace is probably like a month old. It's starting to get a little bit of like love, like fans. Obviously, I'm starting from square one here with like new band and trying to like educate people. It's a whole different audience too than my pop stuff. So it's just like basically just working this EP from home and just talking on Instagram and finishing the album during that, and then my like kind of shop the album around like for a month or so. But honestly, I mean, probably we'll just put it out independently. I mean, if nothing really comes of it, I to me, they're both the same option. Like being an independent artist these days is a beautiful thing. So it's just if anyone's really passionate. So yeah, I want to put it out and I want to tour. Like touring is the big thing. So I want to obviously when the craziness is over to do. Like even if we start with just like a West Coast run, like usually we do our first like easiest. We're kind of doing a little loop like that goes from Arizona to Illinois, and then we come back or something like that. It'd be lovely. I mean, these songs are so fun to play live, and they have such a great live feel to them. And I was really excited to take these songs out on the road someday. We were playing a few of them before everything kind of shut down, and it was getting real fun. Like, and we were premiering songs from the album, and those are my plans for the near future. It's just putting out lots of music. Personally, for me, being the crazy person that I am, I'm already like deep into working on the second record, even though the first one's not out yet. I mean, I have 7 songs written for the next record.
That's good though. You got to get ahead of it, get started on it, and it's like you have all this time, so it's like, why not? Just write some songs, kill some time.
I know, right? Yeah, the time is a lot of pressure. I should be doing, but I'm, yeah. Because has really got to catch up on lots of art that I've been missing out on, like reading a lot of books, a lot of bios, like watching a lot of movies that have really, really, really got into like movies and like psychedelic cinema, like surrealist cinema, like while making this album, which was another big inspiration actually, or like the films of Yorda Wow. Even like Clockwork Orange was really big. Like I basically as mood boards more than I'd actually say like movie inspired me in this creative period for me because it gave me a visual reference to record to in my head, basically for like a mood board that I had going while making this record. It was mostly just pictures of, because it kind of gives you more of an answer. You just look at it and you go, oh, okay, like anytime you're like, should I do this, should I do it like this, and I look at it and go, oh, okay, I should do it like this.
So wow, I didn't know. So like some movies were inspiring like this too. That's cool. You said A Clockwork Orange, and what other movies?
The Holy Mountain by Alejandro Jodorowsky was like the biggest inspiration for sure.
Interesting.
I fell in love. I live near. It's super great, and there is a slight Beatle connection because it was financed by John Lennon.
Oh,
a little bit. I find out afterwards. So obviously it's just. But I live near this video rental store called Videotech in South Pasadena that carries like a great like cult movie store, and everyone there really knows their stuff. And I downloaded this app called Letterboxd, which to anyone who doesn't have it, and I was able to look at people's lists like you would look up something like surrealist cinema, and then just like people got like everything from the early like Buñuel films all the way to like entire standard just movie. And I would just sit there and I would just go once a week to the video store and I would rent 3 movies and I'd watch it really late at night. And I just noticed when I would go to make music, that was saying in my head, I would close my eyes at these images instead of like hear the records it was inspired by mostly. So it's been really, really very easy to be inspired. Like I had to pull it out of myself with movies. That's a fun way. Like I guess changing mediums could be a really fun way to kind of create a blank canvas.
Yeah, no, and it's like I never would have thought like a movie would. I mean, no, I guess it makes sense, like a movie inspiring like your music, but I need to check out that movie now. It's like I haven't been watching that many movies, surprisingly. And it's like I want to start watching more movies. But I was like kind of starting to watch actually this Bowie film, The Man Who Fell to Earth. Have you seen that one?
Earth. Yeah, totally. That's a perfect example of the kind of movie I've been watching. I love that movie. It just stays with you.
I haven't seen the whole thing yet, but like I've been watching it in snippets. I've been like falling asleep, just because I always fall asleep to movies. Not because it's good.
It's pretty long from what I remember.
Yeah. So, wow. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with me. And again, I think your music is great, and I wish you guys all the luck. And I can't wait to see what you guys continue to do. So. Thank you. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Yeah, stay tuned. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye.